Da 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 da. Hello and welcome to Pink Paradox Reads. I'm Lisa, aka Pink Paradox. I read books, I watch horror movies, and I unbox stuff that has to do with books and horror movies. In this video, I'll be talking about the first 12 horror movies I've been watching in my 31 Days of Halloween project. Let's get into it. So I set myself a goal this month to watch 31 horror movies, one for each day of October, and preferably one per day. It's been going pretty well so far. I have been keeping up with it. And in this video, I'll be giving my thoughts, opinions, a bit of a star rating for each of the movies that I watched. First up though, I want to present a little mini horror movie DVD haul that I did. So if everything goes according to plan, I will be watching these movies this month. I got all of these DVDs on Amazon, and there is a certain very special feeling when you're checking out on Amazon and it says your total comes to £0 and 0 pence. I have not been shopping much on Amazon lately because I was not supposed to buy very many books earlier this year, so I totally forgot that I had a gift card from my awesome friend Mike. He got me an Amazon gift card for my birthday, and that was automatically applied when I was buying these movies. So these movies are courtesy of Mike. Thank you so much. Starting off with a movie that I've been dying to watch for a very long time, but it has not been available on any streaming services over here. It's not been available to rent digitally, so I bit the bullet and got the DVD. This is Session 9. This is a bit of a cult classic in the sort of psychological horror genre. I'm not saying psychological horror just because it takes place in an abandoned psychiatric hospital. This is supposed to really toy with your mind. I've heard so many great things about this movie, and I'm so excited that I finally get to watch it. Next up is The Last Shift, and this is about a rookie police officer who gets to spend her first day on the job in a closing police station. That's the word. And unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of satanic goings on in this police station for some reason. I came across this title by chance. I thought it sounded really cool, and I am hoping to watch it this October. Then we have The Cleansing Hour, and this is a Shudder exclusive. Comes with 30 days free of Shudder, which is of no help to me whatsoever because Shudder is still not available in Europe. I have to buy these movies on DVD. This is about a guy who does exorcisms online, like fake exorcisms. But of course, one of his actors gets possessed by a real demon, and it all goes to hell from there. Literally? This looks like a lot of fun. Alright, so those are the movies that I recently bought. Now let's talk about the movies that I recently watched. I really wanted this to be about titles that I haven't seen before, but at the same time I kind of wanted to ease into it. So the first movie that I watched on October 1st was Ghostbusters 2. Now, I watched and rewatched Ghostbusters 2 as a kid. I've actually probably watched Ghostbusters 2 more than I've done the original. Watching this now, I remember that I taped this off TV as a kid, and I saw it again and again, and I pretty much knew like all the lines by heart. The music, everything just came back to me. It is not as good as the original Ghostbusters, but possessed Janusz still scares the crap out of me. 3 stars to Ghostbusters 2. Day 2 was No One Gets Out Alive, and this is a Netflix adaptation of the Adam Neville book by the same name. This was a brand new release when I watched it. It is directed by Santiago Mengini, and it does change the story from the original Adam Neville book, I believe. I have not read the book. I really do want to, though. It changes the setting from England to the US, and the main character is a Mexican immigrant who is trying to get by. She checks into this apartment building that is specifically for women, and a lot of horrible things happen to her, not just supernatural. From what I've heard about the novel is that it's really slow to get to the conclusion. This is a very short movie. I think it's about 90 minutes long, so it does come to that conclusion pretty quickly, but at the same time, we do delve into the everyday horrors that this woman, Ambar, has to go through before we come to the more supernatural reveal. It is a very slow movie, but it is super atmospheric. I recently started watching horror movies wearing my AirPods Max, which are these noise canceling headphones, and this was a perfect movie for that because there are little sounds coming in from everywhere that really adds to the atmosphere, really adds to the tension. When we do get to the reveal towards the end, I have to say the creature design was absolutely stunning. In the same way, if you have seen The Ritual, the Adam Neville adaptation that was on Netflix a few years ago, they did such an amazing job with this creature. It really, really made the movie for me. 3 stars to No One Gets Out Alive. Then we're sliding down a little bit on the quality. I watched Wish Upon from 2017. Directed by John R. Leonardi. The main premise of Wish Upon is this girl who is having a real hard time. She is traumatized by the suicide of her mother. She is bullied at school, and things are just not going very well for her. Then her dad finds this mysterious box. He's a dumpster diver, and he finds this mysterious looking box which has Chinese symbols on it, and he thinks it looks really cool, so he brings it back to his daughter. Well, it turns out that this box is a sort of wishing box. You can make wishes and they come true, but as they come true, horrible things happen in return. As this young girl is making wishes, people around her start to die. I just have to say, Wish Upon was a total bummer. The scariest thing in this movie was Ryan Phillippe as a jazz musician. All in all, this just left me with a bad taste in my mouth. 1.5 stars to Wish Upon. Much better is Fritt Vilt 2 or Cold Prey 2. This is pretty much the only Norwegian slasher series that I know of. This came out in 2008 and it's directed by Mats Stenberg. Fritt Vilt 2 or Cold Prey 2 takes off right after the first movie. Our final girl, Jannicke, is found and taken to a hospital, a remote hospital, which is in its sort of last days of operation. This is a very important trope in horror movies. You have like the sort of kind of deserted hospital with just a few people working in it. With her help, the local police force find the victims from the first movie, and they also find the killer from the first movie, and they are all brought into the hospital. You know where this is going, right? The killer isn't dead. I thought this had a lot of cues from Halloween 2 with the hospital setting and everything, and I absolutely loved it. I thought this was a lot better than the first movie, and the first movie is pretty good. There are strong performances across the board. These people actually act the way you would if you were in a slasher movie like this. The kills are great. I thought this was amazing. 4 stars to Cold Prey 2. Then I watched Come Play, and this is based on a short, actually, much in the way of Lights Out, which was also based on a short movie. Come Play was based on a short movie called Larry, which I did watch. I think it's on YouTube, and I remember finding that quite effective, so I was excited to watch the sort of full-length version. Come Play was released last year, 2020, and it was written and directed by Jacob Chase. Our main character in Come Play is an autistic young boy who is he's nonverbal, so he uses screens to communicate with his family. He doesn't have very many friends. We sort of get into that as the movie progresses. But then this creature starts to get through him through his phone screen. This is quite an effective movie if you are scared of the dark like I am. I'm a 42-year-old woman who's scared of the dark. It could also be a commentary on the way we kind of let screens take over our lives, I guess. I thought it had a very sad but also very sweet ending, and I ended up giving Come Play 3 stars. There Is Someone Inside Your House was based on the book by the same name by Stephanie Perkins. I read this book when it came out, and I remember I was really hyped about it because it was presented as a teen slasher in book form, and what I got was pretty much just 2 teenagers making out a lot. Changes have been made to the Netflix adaptation. There is still a lot of making out, but there is also a bunch of interesting kills. I do like that they use actual teenagers for once in these movies. Wait, are they actual teenagers? In this adaptation, we have a serial killer on the loose who is killing teenagers who have secrets that they don't want to get out. Our main character is Makani, and she definitely does not want her secret to get out, but should she spill it or should she get killed? I did like this adaptation far more than the book, but it's still only a 2-star viewing for me. Staying with the teen horror, my next movie was The Craft Legacy from 2020, directed by Zoe Lister-Jones. Now, I have mentioned it before on this channel. The Craft was a movie that meant a lot to me when I was in high school. I'm not going to say that I identified with Nancy, but she was a bit of an idol. This movie is a kind of sequel. We meet Lila, who's about to move into a new home with her mom, who's just met a new man, played by David Duchovny, who is a huge douche in this movie, and that just does not sit very well with me. It is not very apparent that Lila possesses secret powers, but she meets these 3 other girls at school, just like in the first movie, and they form a coven. Now, I appreciate what The Craft Legacy was trying to do, but the execution didn't really work for me. This, like I said, is based on a movie that meant so much to me. The final act and the connection reveal to the first movie felt very rushed and almost tacked on, respectively, so I ended up giving The Craft Legacy 2 stars. Now, like I said, I've been trying to focus on first-time viewings this time around, but with the weather that we've been having in Bergen lately, I could not watch The Fog. From 1980, directed by John Carpenter. You probably know this story from before, but if you don't, this is about a tiny coastal town in California with some very, very deep, dark secrets. They're about to celebrate a big birthday, but there's a ship full of undead people here to crash the party. I absolutely love The Fog. I don't know how many times I've viewed it, actually. I remember seeing it on TV when I was quite young, and it absolutely terrified me. It did not help that our house was right on the seashore. 4 stars to The Fog. Then another recent release. This was from Amazon Prime. This was a movie that they've done in conjunction with Blumhouse, which I am usually a very big fan of. The Mare from 2021 is about a care home where sinister goings-on are going on. Barbara Hershey plays the lead in this one, and she is absolutely not old enough to go into a care home like this, but she does, and she tries to unravel just what the hell is going on. Is something supernatural killing the residents? I really liked the concept of the manor, but with such a short runtime, this is less than 1.5 hours long. I felt like a lot was left out. I felt like there should be stuff sort of filling in gaps pretty much everywhere. And I am not at all sure how I felt about the ending. 2.5 stars to The Manor. Another movie from Amazon Prime. I was thrilled to see this on Amazon Prime. This is a tiny independent production from Bergen. From Bergen. Mare, or The Mare in English. The Mare is directed and I think also written by René Bjerregaard. He's from Bergen, and I think pretty much all the cast is from Bergen as well. This is a fairly simple story. It's about a young man who is deeply traumatized, and he goes to stay with his grandmother in the country to sort of find himself, but by the time this ends, he's not going to be less traumatized, okay? This movie was a great surprise to me after watching all of the sort of teen horror movies and sort of formulaic horror movies. This one kind of threw a curveball. It is the very kind of slow, atmospheric movie where more than once you find yourself thinking, what the hell is going on? Nightmares are prevalent. A lot of the time there is a dream within a dream scenario. But it ended up being really effective because after I watched this, I had a really hard time sleeping, and it affected me a great deal more than I thought it would. If you're not afraid to experience a slow, weird horror movie, I encourage you to check out The Mare on Amazon Prime. I know it's available in Europe and the UK. I'm not sure about US distribution, but have a look for it. It's a fairly low budget independent release. It's a really short, but do check it out. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I am thinking of maybe pushing it up to 3.5. After watching The Mare, I actually had to have like a little palate cleanser because it disturbed me so much. I felt like more of a silly movie would be the way to go. So I watched Countdown from 2019. This is directed by Justin Deck, and it's all about an app that you download to your phone, and it tells you how long you have left to live. That's pretty much all you need to know. This was pretty much a Final Destination light, but it was not completely without charm. I actually managed to get Kay, my partner, to watch this with me, and he hates horror, so not a classic by any means, but a fun watch. I gave it 2 stars. Finally, and this is a confession time, I have never watched a single Saw movie before. I don't know what really possessed me to see Spiral from the Book of Saw. It could be because I like Chris Rock. I've had lots of great times with my best friend Toby watching Chris Rock's stand-up specials, and I was really curious to see how he would do in a horror movie. So this is sort of like a Saw spin-off I believe Chris Rock plays a detective, and Samuel L. Jackson plays his dad, who's an even more famous detective. And the premise of the movie is that there is a serial killer who seems to be copying Jigsaw from the Saw movies. Basically, it's Chris Rock being Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson being Samuel L. Jackson in a Saw universe, 7 alike. Now, 7 is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I absolutely love police procedural movies, so I guess that's what drew me to this. It did seem to be a not quite successful melange of the two, the horror movie and the police procedural. It was also, I felt, maybe like 30 minutes too short. I felt like they cut out a lot of bits that would have helped the story gel a bit more. There is a tense moment with a box, though. The biggest problem, I think, was that I guessed who the killer was pretty early on, and from what I understand, that's like a no-no with Saw movies. All in all, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I had hoped for a lot more. Even as a non-Saw fan, I did end up giving Spiral from the Book of Saw 3 stars. Okay, so that is everything I have watched so far this October. I would love to hear your opinion on any of these movies if you have watched them. I would also love to hear what you are watching this spooky season. I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy horror movie videos like this one, bookish videos, and unboxings, please stick around and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. Again, happy spooky season, and I'll see you next time. Bustin' makes me feel good.